Hey guys, Singing here bringing you a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at some of the fumbles of Dokkan in 2025 so far, and just have a bit of a retrospective as we ask ourselves what the heck is going on, right? This is hot off the heels of the release of the Million Arena event, and you know, I'm kind of in I'm in my negative arc at the moment, I think. It's funny because somebody on Twitter the other day, I think I was saying something about Tao, I can't remember what it was, commented saying that they think that I've been way too negative lately, which I don't really feel like I have. I mentioned this in the video yesterday talking about the Million Arena thing. I feel like, in general, for the most part, I've always tried to be that glass half full kind of thing. But at the same time, like over the years, whilst I have tried to keep that sort of attitude, a lot of people will always call that, you know, if you try and find anything positive in the game that somebody else doesn't like, you instantly get accused of like being a shill or like bootlicking or whatever. But I've always tried to keep that honest sort of approach where I will call out stuff that I don't like and I will praise stuff that I do like, regardless of whether other people agree with that opinion or not, right? But the Million Arena event is just another massive letdown. We talked about that yesterday. Check out the video if you haven't seen it. But there has been quite a negative air in the community, I think, overall. Pretty much just from the heels of the anniversary, which is crazy because the 10th anniversary itself was such a huge success. Like, I think maybe we'll follow up this video with like the W's of 2025 so far, right? So you guys let me know down below in the comments things that you think would be included in that video. Obviously, if there's anything I don't mention in this one that you think is a fumble so far for 2025, do let me know that down below in the comments as well. But yeah, maybe we'll follow it up with a bit more of a positive video and look at the W's as well. But the anniversary was a huge success, I think. Probably the best celebration that we've ever had in the game. For the most part, I say that because we're going to talk about some of the units. The units were mixed, I guess. The two Dokkan Fest headliners, obviously super very well received. The Carnival LRs, definitely a mixed bag, especially when it comes to you know, some of the Carnival LRs specifically, but the part 2 as well, like mainly I should say. But we'll talk about those. There was a decent amount of content. It feels like the drip feed of the content was really good as well. It never felt like there were too many days in a row that passed where there wasn't something else to do, even if it was just one stage of an event or another EZA or something, right? Like, it felt like content was coming out very consistently. And then we got like the EX part. Obviously, the big thing, of course, being the fact that we got the Purunga wishes and everybody got a free anniversary headliner, which is probably the most generous thing that Dokkan has ever done. Probably never will do again. Like, that kind of stuff, you know, people came out of the anniversary, I think, on a very positive, like, we were riding a good wave after the anniversary, right? People were very much looking forward to everything that was going to be coming for 2025 Dokkan. But, you know, we'll talk about for the anniversary itself specifically. I didn't cover all of the EZAs. I've got a list like in order of the stuff that was coming out, right? So, like, for the anniversary, we obviously started off with the Vegito and then the Carnival LR, Blue Evolution Vegeta and Goku. Goku obviously very well received, despite all the memes about the grandpa cutscene that you can't skip. But this guy right here, obviously, like, huge disappointment in comparison to the other two units. The fact that you can release this guy alongside the other two characters, like, he's just so underwhelming compared to them. Like, minor changes of his kit could have made him so good. Like, these additional chances only being a medium really hurts him, especially when he needs to do super attacks to build up the rest of his passive. He's also the only one of the anniversary LRs that didn't get an active skill. Why? Like, he has the punch, even in his art, the thing that he does against Topo, which no Blue Evolution Vegeta card has in the game yet. Like, that could have easily been an active skill for him that gave him, like, a permanent buff after doing some damage or something like that. Like, could have been pretty good. But this guy just overwhelmingly disappointing. EZAs for the anniversary were all pretty good in general. Things like Super Vegito's Super EZA, the AGL one, wasn't particularly great. Namek Goku, I think, wasn't super well received. And then obviously like STR Kaioken Goku as well. But for the most part, the anniversary was good. And then, of course, as we moved into part 2, like, loads of people really did not like this unit on release. I think as more leads and setups came out for them, I started to like them maybe a little bit more. But they're still obviously not the greatest unit. And then this guy, I thought Gohan was actually really good, like, on release. I quite liked him. But a lot of people really don't like this Gohan. So considering that's both the Carnival LRs for part 2 that people were disappointed with, that's not great. And then we moved into the EX part, and we got the Daima Vegeta, who obviously people very excited to actually be getting Daima stuff. You know, we've been waiting quite a while, people following along with the series and hoping that we would get stuff coming out like quicker and quicker. But unfortunately, this guy was a little bit underwhelming. Like, he's not completely terrible. I feel like he was maybe overhated a little bit, but considering he's one of those units in a long line of characters like the Int Super Saiyan 4 Full Power Goku and stuff like that, where this unit is essentially designed to be in slot 1, but against some of the toughest events and some of the hardest hitting bosses, wasn't really suited for being in slot 1 in like every one of those kind of situations, which it's really awkward when that's your role on the team, right? But I do think, like I say, he's overhated, but he could have easily been considerably better, especially when we look at some of the stuff that came out after or around him. Like, if he's going to be a slot 1 unit, he certainly could have been a bit better than he is. And of course, speaking of slot 1 units that could have been better, we also got the Super EZA for Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and this was like a really long awaited Super EZA. Like, for a lot of people, especially me, if you're like an older player, this guy, even before he got his original EZA, was like a go-to slot 1 defensive unit for the difficult events of the time. And this guy's Super EZA, very similarly to the Daima Vegeta himself, just feels really undercooked. Like, he easily could have been significantly better without having to make any sort of major changes. He just overall feels really disappointing, and it's a shame because these kind of characters, like especially this guy, like, when are we ever going to get another Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta? Like, we'll probably get the adult Daima one, but like this guy, who technically isn't even really from Z, obviously, like the crossover Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, like, when are we ever going to get another one? So this guy's EZA being disappointing is like doubly disappointing, right? Because when are we ever going to get another one? So then we did get, we also did get the GT Super Saiyans EZAs, and they were pretty good. Then we moved into Saiyan Day. Kid Goku was good. His banner unit Chi-Chi was good. We got Path to Power Kid Goku EZA, LR Bardock. A couple of good stuff along the way. Now, I didn't know whether to include STR Cell in this, because STR Cell, I think at the time of his release, I can't say I was like a huge fan. And I think a lot of people felt the same way about STR Cell. But then they started doing a ton more like tournament participant buffs and stuff like that, right? So if we let's put Cell up here. They started doing a ton more tournament participant buffs, and this guy's team suddenly became significantly better. And as more and more buffs came out, and eventually another unit that we'll not focus on here because he's good, but when Hit came out, the option for this guy to be on a team where he's not the leader, so you don't have to run 2 of him, he just was significantly better. So I'm not really sure personally whether to include him on a list of like fumbles for this year, because I feel like on release he definitely felt disappointing and like underwhelming, undertuned, but like very quickly after his release he got significantly better, which obviously is a very good thing. His banner unit Android 18 is pretty terrible though, so I suppose there is that. But yeah, Cell, let me know whether you would include Cell. Obviously, he got his redemption fairly shortly afterwards. We had the Para Brothers free-to-play EZA. They were awful. The EZAs for this guy's celebration, the STR Goku Gohan and AGL Cell, pretty good. Then we had the EZAs for like the Kaioken Goku and STR Pycon, Super Kaioken Goku, STR Pycon. They were terrible. I mean, the Kaioken Goku one, it's kind of fun. It's like a fun design, but like the STR Pycon, absolutely awful. But that was kind of counterbalanced by the AGL Pycon and Tech Janemba ones being really good. Part 2 LR Pycon was good. And that brings us to Golden Week, which is outside of Saiyan Day, which I would say was a success. Golden Week is like the first, like the next big celebration of the year. And whilst Hit, as I already mentioned, was very, very good, the other headliner for Golden Week was the Tech Kaioken Goku. And this guy, very, very disappointing. I feel like very undertuned in almost every area. He's a character who doesn't have it feels like he doesn't have an identity. And what I mean by that is, you guys know I talk a lot about when we talk about units and whether I think units are good or bad. We talk about the role that a unit has on a team and how good are they at performing that role. And this guy doesn't seem to have a clear role. Like, he's not super, super good defensively. So if he's meant to be a damage dealer, like a glass cannon, like, he's not really that great offensively either. And the fact that he's a unit that seems to be designed around doing damage, but he loses a huge amount of damage potential if you don't have Reps of Universe 7 characters with him, which then massively limits his flexibility, which is very, very disappointing. So this guy, as like the dual Dokkan Fest that people have been waiting a really, really long time for, Hit versus Kaioken Goku, this guy came out overall, I think, as just a very, very big disappointment. For something that had been waited so long for, especially. Definitely not quite what people were quite what people were hoping for, right? People that had been waiting all this time for Hit versus Kaioken Goku. I saw a lot of people in the community reacting like very, very disappointed after waiting so long to get this dual Dokkan Fest. And the thing is, Hit's really, really good. So it's just crazy that they came out together as a dual Dokkan Fest. And then, of course, both of their banner units are pretty terrible. I mean, the Piccolo, it can be funny to have that one big funny like damage turn, but for the most part, he's just really not very good. Vegeta, not very good either. Just really odd choices in his design. Like, he doesn't support allies until he attacks, but he's not a unit that is strong enough really to go in slot 1. Gets stunned if he gets super attacked, which makes it even less likely that you want to put him in slot 1. Because even if they'd made it so that he was a solid slot 1 tank, like, the fact that he gets stunned when he gets supered means he then can't attack, which means he then doesn't provide the support. So the support part of his passive just becomes useless, essentially. So, definitely a very, very weird choice for the design for these banner units. And then that brings us on to the celebration that we're in now, which I think from the end of Golden Week, things have been very quiet, to be fair. The EZAs for Golden Week were pretty good as well. Hit got Goku, and then like the blue Kaioken Super EZAs decent. Part 2 LR Kale and Caulifla are good. The Tech Kale and Caulifla EZA is good. Then we get into this celebration. Tao's good. General blue banner unit, he's okay. He's dodge or die against the toughest enemies, but that's the case for a lot of support units, so we can't really mark him down too heavily for that. But then we get to like the main EZA of this celebration, which is Captain Ginyu, and like this guy, I don't know if maybe he wouldn't feel as bad if we didn't have the Tech Kale and Caulifla EZA come out like right before him as the last Dokkan Fest exclusive to get an EZA. Because, to be clear, I don't think his EZA is bad. It's just the fact that it's so much worse than Tech Kale and Caulifla, which is just, I guess it's that typical, like, fusions get all the good stuff, and then, like, Extreme especially just gets, the scraps. Because, like, Kale and Caulifla get a guaranteed additional super if they have a specific ally on the team. Ginyu gets extra stats with Ginyu Force allies and only has high chances to perform additional supers. They're both stacking units, like both stacking Dokkan Fests that got EZAs that are on sort of limited category. Like Kale and Caulifla obviously get the benefit of being Saiyans, right? So they're on a lot of other categories anyway. But like Universe 6 and Ginyu Force are like two small categories that don't have insane amounts of potential going for them, and yet they gave Kale and Caulifla all of this crazy stuff, and then Ginyu, like, there's not even a realistic setup right now where you can run enough Ginyu Force allies to get his full buff without those units getting you killed. Now again, Ginyu, I don't think his EZA is bad. Like, if you run the Tao team and you have Ginyu and you have Rikuman Guldo and they're giving that support, like, and they can be a slot 1 tank, pretty good. The Jason Berta EZA is not great at all. I mean, they are just a floating support unit who completely rely on dodge. So obviously if you get unlucky and don't get the dodges, then they can get absolutely destroyed. And then, yeah, that's it. It's like those 3 Ginyu Force units. Now, as we get into part 2, like if we get the Super EZA for the physical LR Ginyu Force or something like that, that would be pretty useful. But all in all, the Ginyu EZA, especially considering, as we say, it releasing after Tech Kale and Caulifla, just feels like a massive fumble. So when we look back at the year, like, I mean, I can bring this page up, the one that I've been looking at, to get the actual, like, details off of. So this is the Hydros Wiki. If we go back from here, so they're all in chronological order. So we can start down here. We had the New Year stuff, and then going into the anniversary, right? And we've got the Vegeta. I mean, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The anniversary, like I say, was mostly good. But we get to this point, like here, right, after the LR Super Saiyan 4s, where we've got Daima Vegeta. If we put that on the, let's put that on like the bottom row here on the page. So if we start here in this middle bit where we have Daima Vegeta, we've got the EZAs for the GT Duo are pretty good, and Saiyan Day was pretty good. Then we had a World Tournament, which obviously for the most part people don't like. Cell, who on release I think was very disappointing. I think his release could have been handled a lot better. He was kind of saved by the stuff that came afterwards. A bunch of the EZAs for his celebration were just not good. At least Janemba and Pycon are good. Part 2 LR Pycon is good. And then Golden Week, for the most part, new unit-wise, is a fumble for Part 1, apart from Hit. The EZA is pretty good. Then we had another World Tournament. Then the Part 2 LR was good. The EZA was good. Tau, like this kind of like, it's almost like things are picking back up, like with the second part of Golden Week. And then Tau, and then we get the Ginyu Force EZAs. And then the last thing, obviously, we're not just talking about units, I guess, because the game has felt very dry in terms of how the content has been spread out over the last like few weeks. But Million Arena coming out as like the last thing, I think is really the icing on the cake of disappointment for a lot of people, right? It just, to take the punching bag event, which is an event that most people don't like anyway, you just kind of reset, finally get it done and then never touch it again. To somehow redesign that event and make it worse than it was before is really an achievement in itself. Now, to be fair, like I say, I don't want this to be super just all negative, like overly negative, like, you know, I still love Dokkan, I still support Dokkan, we want to see it do well all the time. Hopefully Global Dokkan campaign will be really good. And to be fair, like I said, looking back over this, it's not like it's all terrible. Even from the end of the anniversary, stuff like Saiyan Day being really good, obviously Hit is good, Pycon is good, Kale and Caulifla are good, Tau good. So like there's a lot of good stuff that has come. And don't get me wrong, like when it comes to the side of some of the new features, things like Dokkan Day, the summon points, all these extra things that they're adding so that people can get extra stuff, whether it be free summons or the summon points are obviously for people who spend like stones on banners to get something back as well. Like Dokkan has been doing a lot of really good things, but it just feels like a lot of the time the game is a lot deader than it has been in a while. And then we get these things come along like the Million Arena, where the announcement, as I said in yesterday's video, I thought was really cool. This idea that there was going to be some new competitive sort of event with a leaderboard, only certain people would get through to like the later stages, all seemed really interesting and like something that could be really fun. And then it turns out that it's just punching bag 2.0, but the punching bag punches you back. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Like I say, I don't want this to be all negative. I'm not really going into a negative like Dokkan hating arc. I'm still very excited for Global Dokkan campaign. I'm really hoping that maybe the excuse that some people have given is that they've put so much work into that some of the stuff like leading up to it has been not as heavily invested. I don't know, but I guess we'll see when we get there. But yeah, this is definitely going to be very, very interesting to see what happens to Dokkan in the next month or so as we get to the Global Dokkan campaign. But let me know all of your thoughts down below. Like I said, there's a lot of positives as well. Let me know all the things that you want to see included in the W's of 2025 video that we'll follow this up with. And if there's anything else I didn't mention that you think was a massive fumble for this year so far, do let me know that down below as well. So hopefully Dokkan will turn things around. Like I say, still very hopeful that the Global Dokkan campaign is going to be a success. but we will have to wait and see. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.